is when somebody pulls out the gun. I mean, besides doing your fancy Aikido move that pulls them to the ground peacefully and disables them and gets the gun, throws it away. What do you do when the ad interrupts what you're doing, or, all of a sudden just when interruption-based attempts at attention getting happens, what are some of the things you do? I mean, on the remote, you click change the channel. What are some other things that you do in these cases?
Well, I actually, a lot of times, vow not to use that product specifically to teach them not to do that to me. I really get that way now, especially, in certain ways when people just aggressively come at me for something, especially that I haven't even put out any interest in, and they come at me with it. I'm just like going, oh, well, I'll never use that service, and I'll specifically look for their competitors if I ever need to because they did that to me. It's so weird because we get very, nowadays with how much there is to do at any given moment, it's, your time just seems even more and more valuable. It's like, I don't want to waste a second on it. It's funny on Hulu.com when I'm watching The Daily Show, even the commercials, I mean, I know they're trying to make monetize this thing, but I'm like, do you like or dislike this ad? It's always dislike. Dislike.
Yeah.
Except for me, if it's a movie trailer, I'll watch it and I'll like those.
Except for Hulu's own ad with Alec Baldwin. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. That one's okay.
Oddly enough, the Hulu ad itself, I would probably say but that's just because it entertained me, so I found it relevant.
Yeah, I'm trying to train their ad system to only show me movie trailers.
Yeah,
so it's like everything, even if it's like this public service announcement, that's a really great thing for humanity. I'm like, nope, movie trailer. Yes. I don't want any ads, but if there's got to be an ad, it's got to be exactly what I want.
Well, it's funny. Actually, that's a great example that you bring up Hulu, because I've noticed, I'm pretty sure it's Hulu. Yeah, it's Hulu that recently has started saying, before you start, it's like, okay, would you rather have the regular commercial breaks, or would you rather watch this 7-minute Honda video or this movie trailer or something like that? And lately I've always selected, I'll watch the Honda video, because the interesting thing is actually the Honda video, and I don't even remember if it's Honda, so I guess maybe this is not so effective for their but they're kind of, I've noticed they're kind of like interesting little like documentary. They're not as the point being, I mean, certainly the movie trailers are more relevant to me because I like movies, but I've even found some of these other things that they're asking me beforehand. Would you rather this or this? And when I've said, well, yeah, just show me the 4-minute video by so-and-so, I've actually found them more interesting and relevant because they actually contain content that's interesting to me, rather than it just being, oh, here's the latest Dove soap ad. And it's like, oh, I don't buy Dove. What do I care? And this point being, it comes down to relevance. I mean, a couple weekends ago, I was on a radio show here in Portland, a marketing talk show, and I was talking about the same topic. And one of the hosts started talking about, well, how is what you're talking about, putting out compelling content in order to get people's attention, how is that any different than, just putting up a billboard or a commercial on TV? You're still got to put something out there and invade them, right? And be invasive on someone's intention. I'm like, no. It comes down to relevance. I mean, I can drive down the highway and see 100 billboards, and how many of them are relevant to me? Maybe 1 in 100. However, if I'm deliberately going to iTunes and searching for internet marketing or fitness and health, the podcasts that come up, I have a choice whether or not to and the chances are, it's probably more a 1 out of 2 or maybe even more that content is relevant to me. So I think it's I mean, right there, 50% versus a 1%, that's a 50 times more relevant, hence a 50 times less invasive attention-getting method. So, this kind of, thinking about how you get people's attention is very important today, and it comes down to relevance. And so the way to be relevant and to get attention in a very meaningful way is to create authoritative, relevant content frequently for your market. Blog posts and podcasts or online videos or Twitter posts, or there's all kinds of ways you create content. I mean, your updates on Facebook are content to somebody. And so making that kind of frequent content and syndicating it in as many different channels as possible through YouTube, through iTunes, through, and that's over time a progressive thing that you build up, but making that frequent, authoritative, relevant content through as many channels as possible, that's how you get people's attention in a non-evasive way that then starts this community builder blueprint. And so that, I guess, is the whole point that we're making with this step number 6. That is how you attract a community of loyal customers who are going to buy again and again and tell you what they want. Hence, you can come up with the right product and not waste your time there. So incredibly powerful step right there in step number 6. Something that a lot of people do not do in business and a lot of people will not teach you. If there's somebody listening to this who's been in an MBA program who has taught this kind of thing, please let me know. I want to know.
Yeah, right.
All right, so step number 7. We're going a little long here, but this is important content. If you can't tell, stuff we're incredibly passionate about. But step number 7 is, okay, you've told me I got to create compelling content that continually engages my community, that gets their attention. How do I do that? Well, the basic way that we teach that is to post content to a blog. So start yourself a blog. And step number 5, we talked about launching a site, getting that stake in the ground, your real estate online, your hub of your content creation. That's a place that you can magnetically draw people to, and then through RSS feeds and stuff, get your content out to as many places as possible. So the first step is to, like we said in 5, get your blog installed on there, and then just frequently post content, whether it's text or video or audio or a combination of all those, and then take that feed and get it into different directories, and make sure Google's indexing your blog, and post some of your videos to YouTube, and get your feed into iTunes and start syndicating it in as many places as possible. So let's talk about the content itself. How do you make it compelling? Let's go ahead and again use Internet Business Mastery as an example. I mean, in the beginning, we just started talking about what are the questions that maybe we had when we got started in internet business. What are the things we wish somebody had told us? What were the questions people asked us often? We just started with those questions that we got asked on a regular basis. And so do that same thing. If you've got your own business already, or think back to when you started and just think, what are the questions that come up often? And then just pick one small specific question and write a blog post, or create an audio, or create a video, and put that on your blog and put it out there.
Don't be afraid also to talk about where you failed.
Absolutely.
You tried something and that didn't work, so it led you to this. That was something that originally we did that the guru people weren't doing. They were just saying, here's how to do it. I'm up on my mound, talking to the people. I never make mistakes. And we're like, oh yeah, we did this and this is what happened.
Yeah.
But luckily it led us to this, so just do this.
Absolutely. I mean, case in point, just this morning on Twitter, I shared how I failed at making my pancakes for breakfast. Oh, wait, maybe that's not what you were talking about. No, but it's a good point. If you think back to Internet Business Master, we've had at least a few episodes where we talked about, okay, you know what? Here are mistakes we made and how you can avoid them. And that just makes you more human when you're willing to say, look, I'm not superhuman. I made the mistakes, but I'm here to help you save you that problem. So, that's a great point. So, answer those kinds of questions. Talk about your failures and how you overcame them. Give the information you wish you had gotten when you started. And this is, some people start asking at this point, okay, well, if I'm headed towards making a product, how do I know what do I give away for free and what do I put in the product? And that's a very common question. Now, one easy guideline for this is kind of the what to do versus the how to do it. If you think back to the last time you maybe listened to a podcast or somebody, or I guess Internet Business Master, I keep using us as an example, but, we like to share very actionable and good information on here. But, clearly there's only so much we can share in the 30 or 45-minute podcast that we put out every other week. And so if you want the exact, very specific, getting in there, nitty-gritty how to do it, you join the Academy. So that's kind of a guideline there. And you'll see a lot of bloggers do this. But, that said, don't be afraid to give away some of your best ideas. We get very liberal sometimes with some of the, best ideas and cool stuff that we've come up with because, that's just great stuff for solidifying the relationship and the trust.
Well, and if you consider today, we're recording an episode of Internet Business Mastery, the podcast, which will take us about 40 minutes, let's say, to record it. But then the rest of the day, we're going to be recording content for the Internet Business Mastery Academy, and that will take us about 3 or 4 hours. So you can see the difference in how the content works. You give a lot of great information for free, which is kind of the what, and then the very, very specific how, which is obviously is going to take a lot of time, depending on, what market you're in, but that's where you're going to want to spend as much time as you can giving very specific things.
Now, there are several factors that go into crafting a really good piece of content. So whether it's a blog post or a podcast or a video, here's just a few things. I mean, certainly in the academy, case in point, we go into this a lot more detail, but let's take a blog post as an example, or even a podcast episode. I mean, you have a title for that blog post. You have a title for that podcast episode. You have a title for that video, whether it's on YouTube or on your own site. And you got to think of that title as a headline. That is the thing that's going to be the clincher. It's a thing that somebody sees and in a matter of a second or 2 seconds decides,